When it was the right time for my wife and I to launch our small business, we chose LegalZoom to create our LLC.
Good morning, everybody. I'll get started here in just a second. Good morning, Nico. Good morning, Harris, Flatwood, Will, Sherbert, ICT Trading Fan, Artemis, TC, Mantis, Digital Nomad, Oki. Good morning. Tech issues. No, I just getting a little late to the stream. That's all. If you can like the video, share it. I would appreciate it. That's all that I ask. I only got 25 likes, so there's 100 of you in here. If everybody hits the like button, that's all I'd ask. Good morning, Crazy Yeti, Islam. Good morning, Keller. Good morning, One Trade. The Next. Good morning, Freak. Good morning, Vigo, Greg, Maddie. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, they do look interesting, don't they? We had news event driver come out at about an hour ago. So, I mean, honestly, nothing really happened in terms of major movement. But I'll put the charts on here in a second. Again, if everybody can like the video, it takes 2 seconds. Good morning, Robert Field. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let me go ahead and turn on the charts here and let me know if you can see it, and then we'll get started. Good morning from South Africa. Good morning. Good morning, Brett. What's up? What's up, Golden? Just Trey. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad it helped. You can see the videos, yeah? Okay, or you can see the charts. It's been a long week. Let's hope for a better non-toxic chat today, yeah? I would appreciate that, but I'm sure there will be other people in here. At least know the morning crew who was first in here is, you guys are not the toxic ones, at least I think. Alright, let me do this for a second. So, it's about a minute into the opening. I'm not in a rush to do anything. I've already looked at price, and I'm not in a rush to do anything right now. Again, let's look at the weekly time frame. Why am I doing that? Because we're at Thursday, so we have to think, all right, has the low or the high of the week been set in yet? Because typically by Thursday, that's already happened. The low or the high of the week's already been set in, and how is that useful to us? Well, if I know if the high or the low of the week's been set in, then that means I'm trying to trade in the direction away from that higher low. What do I think personally? I personally would believe that the low of the week has been set in, but I could also see the high of the week. It's a little bit 50-50 to me, to be honest. But if I had to, gun in my head, I would believe that the low of the week has been set in, and we'd go towards at least a new high. The reason for that is because I believe dollar index could move potentially higher today. It depends. There was a news event driver and it dropped off lower. So if that maintains downside, then we could see index futures pop higher. So again, looking at the daily dealing range, just simple market structure, we're still inside of a bullish dealing range. So to me, if dollar index continues to trade off lower, it's going to push this thing higher, which does agree with the overall just structure of price. So I'm going to be looking at that going into today. We have this 4-hour SIBI that we got above yesterday, can turn it into an inversion. We're resting inside of this SIBI currently on the 4-hour. So curious to see what happens. Yesterday was that was a hard session overall, to be honest. It was, to me, if you guys traded that yesterday and you came out profitable, hats off to you. I mean, I did as well, but it was, as you saw, it was not something incredibly easy. Not like a trending day where you just immediately move higher or lower and you're able to just capture longs and shorts. So let me do this real quick. Yeah, I'm not super interested in the opening range right now. There's nothing to really talk about. So as we move towards the silver bullet, we'll go ahead and start approaching price. If we were to move higher today, what would be the upside objectives? And that's really what I'm annotating. So anything above us is a premium. These premium inefficiencies on a 4-hour would be a draw on liquidity. Do I see this as a bearish market structure? Because I bet some of you are looking at that. Is from this dealing range high down to this low, you're looking at how we're trading up into a premium. What would be the counter to that? Well, you have dollar index moving off lower, so that's one confluence. B, you have a daily time frame that is in a bullish dealing range still. So that's the parent. It's going to overseed that 4-hour, 1-hour bearish dealing range. So a lot of you yesterday had kept asking me about the 1-hour dealing range and to look at it. I was fully well aware, but if the parent is in a bullish dealing range, that overseeds the lower time frame's bearish dealing range. So to me, it held no significance. And eventually we traded off higher just like I anticipated yesterday. I was just a little bit early to the party in terms of my entry in the morning. So let me just mark out a few more areas. And if I don't do anything today, I'm perfectly content with that. I'm already up on the week. I mean, we had a great trade on Tuesday. Yesterday, I think, was an amazing session if you guys were there. So I'm not going to be pushing to do something if something's not clear, per usual. You guys know how I am. I'm very patient. If something is not setting its intentions clear to me, I'm not going to push it. We're moving towards the end of the week. Preferably, if I was able to get one last trade today, that would be it for the week, and I would move aside for tomorrow. Of course, I'd still be live streaming, but I wouldn't be doing anything. You need to know when to cut off, especially if you're up on the week. You need to know when you're content, you're happy with your profits, and just move aside. And that means that you don't sit down during a session. You don't even open up the charts. That means, sleeping in and and doing something else for that day, I mean, that's a profitable position. You don't have to be staring at these charts every single day and grind and have that hustler's mentality, because it's usually what I had. And I thought if the more screen time I had, the more chart time I had, the more profitable I'd be. Well, it doesn't really work like that. You have to know when to dial it back and chill out, not do as much, especially when you're up on the week. You have to have a goal for the week and what you're shooting for. Otherwise, you're just meandering around throughout the week. You know, whatever profits is what you're going to get. You need to have a plan. You need to have a system in place and when to stop, whether that's in profits or whether that's in loss. You need to know when to stop pushing. I mean, I'd be completely content with stopping here already for the week, but I trust myself enough. If there's something here, then I can execute on it. Does that make sense to everybody? Again, I catch myself. I'm not even looking at the chat or anything right now. I'm just kind of focused on the charts. As far as, let's do the RTH gap and see where we're at. I find this pattern pretty interesting. What is this little pattern here? That would be a breaker, this up close candle here. So I'm going to annotate that. Right now we have index futures, or at least, it's just NASDAQ. Huh. We just have NQ moving lower. Dollar index is moving lower. And what's the difference today between me utilizing dollar index versus yesterday? Well, dollar index is moving in a significant movement. So to me, I can utilize that. Compared to yesterday, we didn't do much, so I'm not going to utilize it. But if dollar index is moving significantly in terms of price and the points in the range, then I'm going to utilize it because it's going to affect index futures. If you are paying attention to dollar index, look at how we're trading through that daily SIBI. We're trading through the BISI. We're trading through the 4-hour and 1-hour BISI. May want to trade off into the relative equal lows. So I may be wrong on that overall market maker buy model perspective. Does that mean I'm not making? Does that mean I'm incorrect? Analyst. Does that mean I'm bad? No. I can just change gears and get in alignment with whatever it's doing. And that's why I like waiting for news event drivers. So at least on the 15-minute, we have that bullish breaker, and there's a fair value gap in here. I'm curious if we reach down into that. If we do, how we react off of it. I'm going to stay on the idea today that I'm going to be looking for higher prices due to dollar index moving higher, due to the higher time frame, which is the narrative, that dealing range. The market structure is still bullish. So I have to stay in line with that. At least that's my perspective today. As far as a 5-minute time frame goes, this last up close candle, you can refine the 15-minute, but this last up close here, I'm going to extend that out in time, and that is a bullish breaker. And I don't just buy off of these. I just normally, something like this on a higher time frame is there. I'm going to look for this, for price to react off of it, and I see it move away from it, then it's just confirming to me. Here's a little 2022 model. Buy side taken, drop lower, fair value gap here, open, drop off lower. And that's the pros and cons of having a rule set. My rule set is trading within the silver bullet. Is that within the silver bullet? Nope. But if you know you have confidence behind your system that these things repeat every single day, and it's probably going to repeat in the silver bullet here. So I'm not fearful. I'm not trying to chase price right off the open. We're taking out this trendline phantom in here. Just sell side liquidity if you want to make it easy for yourself. Trendline phantom is just what quote unquote retail uses. And it's what I used previously in my earlier years, if you're wondering what that is. So if we trade off higher today, I'm going to look at a 15-minute chart and see where the inefficiencies. I see this old reclaimed SIBI there, and then a couple higher premium SIBIs. So what's the dealing range in a 15-minute time frame? It's from this low up to that high. So where is equilibrium sitting? It's sitting here. It doesn't necessarily have to reach into a discount. Would it be nice? Yes, but it doesn't necessarily have to. It doesn't necessarily even have to reach into that breaker in here either. With enough evidence, if it starts displacing higher, I'm going to anticipate that's just going to be left. Next thing I want to do is go to RTH. So you can still use previous RTH gaps. So for an example, you see how on Tuesday with CPI, we had this large RTH gap, and there's still a little bit of the RTH gap left open. I can utilize that to my advantage if we're going to trade higher today. I can utilize that in confluence with the bias that we want to trade up into that to close in that liquidity void, right? Because there's a large drop, right? We gapped open. We've only traded up basically 75% of it. So if we do trade off higher today, I could look for that level, which is 17,922. As far as today's RTH gap, I don't really believe it's that significant. So it's in here. I'm not going to utilize that today. Let me look at the chat and everything. All right, stream's good. We're good in here. If you guys can like the video, I'd really appreciate it. There's 350 in here and 99 likes. So if we can get that up to 200, 300 likes, I'd appreciate it. Just takes 1 second. Exactly, Tom. That is what we would call the opening range Judah swing. Trap everybody trying to go short. And then we rally it higher. So, very studious. A lot of buy side, even though there's a small little raid above these clean highs here at the open. That's still some buy side in here that we can look. This orange shaded area is a new day opening gap. So we have ES trading off higher, NQ is YM as well. We have bullish SMT at the lows. We have dollar index dropping off lower. So do you see how those confluences with a higher time frame bullish dealing range, bullish narrative per se? That is a good sign. That's what you would want to see if you want to see higher prices. I'm going to turn on some music real quick for myself. So even though we've taken buy side here, if the narrative is bullish, we could easily run back above this high here. These guys saw that yesterday, where if you're taking out buy side or sell side, sometimes you can run back above that rate anyways. If dollar index, for whatever reason, decides to rally higher, then I would look for lower prices than NQ. But for now, I'm going to stay on the idea that I'm looking for higher prices than NQ until, if maybe in the session I'm proven wrong. Again, if you're just tuning in, I'd appreciate if you like the video, share it. So I'm looking at the higher time frame, and I'm seeing how price is reacting to these certain inefficiencies. I mean, we're still inside of this premium on the 4 hour and still inside of this SIBI. But the only thing that would counter that, right, it would be the daily time frame, the weekly. That would be this is the parent. So the lower time frames are the children. They're going to be basically bending the knee to the higher time frame. But if there's something that is changing, right? Let's say this is changing from overall bullish to bearish. These lower time frames are going to change first. So then they would not be basically bending the knee to the higher time frames. They would not be I'm trying to find the word, I can't think of it. But they wouldn't be in alignment with the higher time frame, because that lower time frame is going to shift first. So again, this is being a part of an analyst, is you're trying to weigh options, determine what's happening in real time, and seeing, all right, is it still respecting this higher time frame? Until I'm really proven wrong, if the 1 hour really starts dropping off and we really start seeing lower prices, then I may change my bias, and that's fine. But for right now, I don't see that, and I have to stick with the idea that we're going to maintain higher prices. And the really good confluence with that is dollar index is trading off lower significantly. So it gives me confidence that we're going to trade higher, at least see some type of higher price in here. We are a bit decoupled in terms of NASDAQ. It's trading alongside dollar index, which it could just be a false rally lower in the beginning of the opening range, and then we see higher prices. So hopefully that's clear in terms of narrative and bias and what you're looking at using time frames. So we dipped down into this yesterday, or at least I believe towards the end of the day yesterday. So remember this breaker there. Look at the 15-minute. You see, I'm not even really looking at a 1 minute. I'm marking out all my higher time frames. I'm paying attention to higher time frames and how we're trading at the opening range and seeing, all right, what is it respecting? What is it trading away from? Rather than me just looking at a 1 minute, you can just get so hyper focused on a 1 minute, and that's all you see. You need to pull yourself out of that. You need to look at these higher time frames and pay attention to them, see how they're trading, especially within the session. If somebody just tells you to go on a 5-second chart, I mean, I would not take advice from them. So that blue shaded area, I'm not going to have it, but this blue shaded area is this breaker here. So I'm going to go back out to a 15-minute chart. Took out sell side here. It's a pretty decoupled market this morning. I'm trying not as much to pay attention to YM, but it is trading significantly higher than ES and Q. ES is kind of just in the middle of the range. Dollar index is dropping off lower. So again, I'm not trying to trade in the direction the dollar index is trading, especially when it's significantly moving lower or higher. In this case, it's moving lower, right? Cody Rich, I appreciate that. I think you're talking about yesterday, maybe the day before. How many years did it take to be this good with Ict-Concepts? I mean, I'm about 4 years of studying with him, so it's taken a long time. I think nowadays, I think the community is oversaturated with so many concepts, so much videos. The majority of the community is completely lost because you don't know what to do with all of it. I mean, it's as if you were born into a prestiged family with so much money. You could have everything you could ever want in your entire life. You don't even know what to do with it. I mean, I think majority of the community would be much better off if you only knew the 2022 model and you paired that with extremely good risk management and psychology. That's my personal belief. Not to say that, you can't learn everything and be extremely good at it, but to me, if you were able to just focus on one model and practice that and be extremely good at it, you'd be much better off trying to do that than learn everything and learn all these concepts. Small inefficiency in here. We're at 160 likes. If we can get that to 200, I'd really appreciate it. Yeah, Marco, I mean, if that's basically where I'm at right now, if I don't see something extremely clear, I'm just doing nothing. It's like a common theme here. Like, and that's where I just have my phrase that I've made up. I don't know if anybody else said it, but I let time do the work for me. If things are unclear and I'm not completely certain on a bias or a narrative for the day, and there's some contradicting factors, then I just let time do the work for me and let things play out. And that's why I like the silver bullet, because first 30-minute range can be uncertain. It can be counter to what the entire narrative is for the entire day anyways. So thank you, Marco. I appreciate it. Hi, I have a question. Okay, just feel free to type it in the chat. I'm 24. I thought it was going to be a different question, but sure. So just observing ES and YM, they're both trading off higher. So I want to see, does NQ want to get in sync with them? Marco, I know you've asked this before. I trade on micros, so like whatever you see me do on here, like if I do 4 or 5 contracts on standard, I'm doing 4 to 5 on micro. So no, I'm not making whatever this is. It's, you know, thousands of dollars. Again, I'm not gonna sit here and lie to all of you. I mean, I have a funded live account. I'll show all the P&L with that as well. But no, I'm not making the same as if what's showed on the screen here. And I only do the paper trading just so all of you can see the position. You have to remember, I mean, I thought about this last night. It's pretty insane. I mean, I'm doing a live stream in front of people talking about price. I'm also managing 2 positions. I'm managing my live position. I'm managing a paper trading position. I mean, it's a lot, man. But I do that just so I can show all of you. I was actually gonna pick up a couple accounts and put them on Tradeovate just so it'd be easier for the live stream. But then again, there's nothing that is able to trade copy on Tradeovate through TradingView. So if I have multiple accounts, I can't trade copy on TradingView. It's unfortunate. Otherwise, I would. Do you always use the continuous contract when trading CJ, or do you look towards current on lower? I use the continuous contract when I'm charting. Obviously, you can't place a real live trade on continuous, only paper trading, but I take my real trades on the March contract. I mean, the reason I've been using the continuous a lot more is because we've been at all-time highs, and I've been able to see price, trade above data that you can't see on the real contract, like the March. So we're trading off lower in here. Do you want to trade copy from TV to what? Well, I want to trade, like, let's say I'm on Tradeovate. I want to be able to trade copy multiple accounts trading on TradingView. There is a program out there, but it costs like $400. I'm not going to pay $400 for a trade copier. That's absurd. It would need to be efficient, because Tradeovate has a trade copier, but it doesn't allow you to trade copy through TradingView. You have to go on their platform. Replicano is 150. I thought on their website it said it was like 400. I may be mistaken. It's Replicano is what I'm talking about, because somebody just mentioned that to me the other day. But to me, Quantower is free. It's free for me to trade copy, so I find that a much better option. I'm already using it. Oh, really? Well, maybe I'm mistaken. I didn't look at it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe trade copying on Quantower is free. From what I've seen, I know you can do one account, but now I just picked up a few others, and I'm still able to trade copy for free. So I don't know if I hacked the system or what, but apparently I'm able to do so for free, because I haven't paid anything to them. It is free? Oh, cool. I'm going to stick with that then. I actually like Quantower a lot. It's very nice. Yeah. No, Quantower's nice. I've been enjoying it, so I mean, if it's free and I already have all my accounts on there, I'm not going to... I mean, with most prop firms, you can't just switch your broker. You can't do that. They're not going to allow you. So I'm kind of already stuck with this. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, which, I mean, I'm only with one prop firm, so it's fine. Okay. I got it. Thank you, guys. Quantower is very robust. Yeah, it's got some hiccups at times, but I think for what it is, it's a pretty good platform. It's at least one of the better ones I've ever used, besides TradingView. And I'm not really interested right now in price. I'm waiting more or less for the silver bullet. We have 3 minutes. I know you see price trading off lower, and you just see this happening. And the thing that I'm concerned about is what is dollar index trying to do? Because that's really its trade off lower. I'd really need to see a reversal on dollar to be fairly confident on shorts for NASDAQ. Can you please change thumbnail color to green or blue? Would look nice. Brother, I don't think that should really matter. It's a thumbnail, alright? So we've traded off of this inefficiency in here. 4 hour. Look at the level of respect to the bodies. But we're about to close in here. So it's a pretty interesting closure. We have this 4 hour inversion. But at that point, I could switch biases for the day. It's fine. It doesn't really affect me. But I would need some really good information that would trade lower. That's hilarious. If you're wondering, I only wear white beaters. I sit in sweatpants and a white beater. And that was my ideal comfortability. I'm not going to get dressed up in a suit and tie and sit down at my desk. I'd look like an idiot. And I got into this not to work a corporate job, so I'm not going to dress like a corporate job. That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I just had my best friend's wedding, and I was the best man, and it was like perfect pictures. So my Twitter, my YouTube, and I was like, might as well just make it my face. That way I'm not a ghost. I'm just sitting at my desk with a bow tie on. That would be hilarious. So what I'm doing is I'm marking out all these discount arrays. And I'm seeing if price wants to trade lower, where does it want to trade into? I mean, if I had to keep sticking with that bullish narrative, I don't particularly like it. What am I eating? Yeah, I'd probably hear me. I'm eating a banana. It's probably not the most enjoyable thing to hear. Ain't that the truth, Vincent? Yeah, I don't know if I feel like I'm not a chick. I don't have a bunch of pictures of myself. That was the current new week opening gap. Look how we've traded away from it all week. Now, if you see me, I'm constantly going back to this higher time frame. I'm trying to get a read on what price is doing. I mean, it's pretty decoupled market currently. Yeah, literally rage harder. They said that. I mean, they can get into sync with each other if, time allows it. But if I was trying to trade ES, I mean, that's a mess. I wouldn't want to be trading that. Turtlenecks. Yeah. Again, it's the internet, man. I mean, it's how to take the pros with the cons. I think some people are just genuinely curious. I don't know. Not that it holds any significance, but so I appreciate the message. I know all of you are probably putting your messages out there to whatever, but again, if you're here to listen to me, don't be typing in the chat like liquidity here, this there. It's just that's nonsense, man. I know you're trying to put something out there, but It may confuse the chat. It may influence somebody to do something. It sounds egotistical, but they're here for me. They're here to listen to me. They're not here to listen to you in the chat. And I've already had these breakers marked up, so people are aware of it. What's up, Emmanuel? I'm doing good, brother. Hope you're doing well. That's cool too, Vincent. Yeah, it gets on my nerves sometimes. There's people trying to sound super smart in the chat. It's like, just stop typing. So this was that was a 5-minute breaker, but in its entirety, we still haven't closed beneath it. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way. It's more annoying than helpful. Yeah, again, Jake, I mean, I'm not trying to dig at you, but again, it's the only reason you should be typing in the chat is if you have a question or appreciation message, whatever it is. But besides that, I mean, there's no reason to be typing. Am I looking for longs? No, I'm fairly uncertain, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we have a completely decoupled market currently. We have ES middle of the range, we have YM higher, and then we have NQ dropped lower with dollar index completely moved off lower. So to me, that's not an in-sync market. It's not something I'm going to be trying to push a bias upon. It's like a red light, an alarm, to me at least, to sit still, idle. We're still inside of this inefficiency here, inside of that breaker. So I want to see how we react off of that. If we trade through this breaker, then it would probably lend to the idea that we'd want to seek lower prices. That'd be the idea. So in here, we've taken sell stops there. Maddie, when you change your bias intraday session, do you put any emphasis on the CEMT disrespect as a confluence to change your mind? I guess that's a wide question. There's a lot of things that are in confluence to me changing my bias. There's a lot of things that are going to happen. I mean, if something is no longer respecting the side that I was looking at, and we're trading through those, let's say today I'm bullish, right? It starts trading through a bunch of bullish PD arrays. It's no longer respecting them. And then it starts utilizing bearish PD arrays, fair value gaps, breakers, etc. It utilizes them. It's trading off lower away from them. And then I see in confluence that, let's say, dollar index starts trading off lower. The other ones, ES, YM, are in confluence, then that would help with me changing my bias. I get the ERL to IRL and back concept. Does it always go back to IRL then ERL? I mean, that's a fancy term that Twitter uses to sound smart. Everything is external and internal. Everything is, because it depends on the time frame you're looking at. On this time frame, on the 15-minute time frame, you're looking at dealing ranges to determine external and internal. But this is an external low, and that's an external high. on a 15-minute chart. Everything inside of that is internal. But if I went out to a daily chart, then this would be internal low and an internal high. So internal and external liquidity, it's a wide concept. It depends what time frame you're looking at, and to me, I would rather focus on just what's the narrative, what's the bias, what's the time, where's my model, and where can I plug it in. Again, this goes back to the original statement I had at the beginning of the video. Many of you would be much better off just paying attention to the 2022 model and having no other prior knowledge to anything else. You'd probably far succeed better with that. Not that you shouldn't learn all these concepts, but again, that question to me sounds like a lot of confusion. It's really not necessary to know that. PD arrays are PD array. They are just a fair value gap, a breaker, a mitigation block, etc. Rejection block. That's a PD array. So what have we done? We've dropped down into this discount, into this fair value gap, into the breaker. We're now displacing away from it. What do we do on the 1 hour? We drop down into this inefficiency. We're displacing higher away from it. What is the 4 hour? We're inside of this inversion. What are we doing on the 1 minute? We're getting above a bearish PD array, bearish fair value gap. So that to me is telling me, all right, it's starting to change its state and delivery. If you're starting to disrespect bearish inefficiencies, that's going to tell you, all right, we're changing. We're doing something different. What is dollar index doing? It's moving off lower. What is ES doing now? Moving higher. What is YM doing? Moving higher. So those are all in sync. Do you see how if you just give it a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, you can start to see things unfold. So we're getting above this inefficiency here. How do you make your chart switch drawings when you change your time frame? That's just making the visibility. If you double click on it, you go to visibility, I only put it on the time frame it's on. Sometimes I'll let it go on other time frames if I am utilizing it. So if you look to the left chart in here, this you can treat it as an inversion. So if since we closed above this, this would be an inversion on the 5 minute as well. Why am I not buying down here? I'm just giving it a little bit of time. I really want to see if we start displacing higher. Because again, if the draw on liquidity where I'm at, I mean, I'd be looking at this high. So I have a while till price gets there. I'm not trying to pick an absolute bottom or a low. And if that's, you know, your comfortability, that's what you want, that's fine too. So some clean buy side there. Dollar index is still dropping off lower. So I'm anticipating this to become an inversion. Let's see how this 5-minute closes in here. If you guys are just tuning in, I'd appreciate it if you like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate it. So to me, it's pretty beautiful. I'm just waiting for more or less a signal, because everything's kind of confirmed to me that we want to gravitate higher. What is the delay? I don't know. Maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Sometimes it could be a little bit more. So overall, if we really get animated today, meaning a large amount of movement, revisiting this 1 hour inefficiency in the buy side above there. Okay, thank you guys. Cool. I'm just trying to gauge in here what price is doing. The only thing that's kind of concerning me. I don't know. I was trying to think of like the words for it. When I'm looking at like a 15-minute chart and a 5-minute chart, I believe there just needs to be more accumulation sideways before we rally higher. I just don't see a straight shot. Like if there's ever a rapid displacement lower like this and it's not a wick at the bottom, I just don't see price just rallying higher. There needs to be some type of accumulation or something sideways. I don't know how else to explain that. It's more or less experience that I'm looking at. And I'm not eager, again, I'm not trying to pick bottoms. I'm fine if price moves away from this area that I was looking at already. Because my drawn liquidity is up here. If it's going to move today and it's going to move towards a drawn liquidity, I have this entire space basically to get into a trade. So I'm not fearful of price moving. It would actually be a confirmation towards me. Gabriel, it's this indicator here, ICT higher time frame candles. Again, what I just talked about, I don't know. I don't even know what to call that. Just experience. That's the only thing that's kind of keeping me out. And me just trying to pick a bottom in here. Again, that's my style. The way I trade is I'm not trying to pick bottoms. If that's your style and that's what you like, I mean, I'm not going to keep you away from doing that. But that's just my particular style. And I'm comfortable and patient enough to let price move to confirm to me certain things. So, and we're all our own personality, so you have to match it with whatever your personality is. If you like being at the very lows and tops of moves, I mean, that's your personality. And that comes through journaling, what you find out what you like and what you're comfortable with, and etc. Yeah, I mean, if we trade through this fair value gap and that inversion, I'd probably cut that long idea off. Again, I don't know what else to really say. Like, what kept me out of trying to go long is either A, not picking a bottom, and B, it was more or less experience. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Again, there's perks of being with chart time and with these concepts and spending a lot of time with them. You just, you gain experience, and they'll kind of lend you support sometimes to, like, it's kind of telling you, don't pick a trade here just yet. Wait a little bit. Because I easily could have taken a trade off the inversions in here, and I would have been a drawdown or stopped out already. And that's why I just like waiting. If it dropped down into this inefficiency, the breaker again, and then it moves higher, well, at least it's confirming to me that we want to move higher, and then I can just move along with the idea that I originally had. So from this little dealing range here, drop down into a discount. So it would have to really lend support, this inversion, breaker, for value gap, for price to move higher. So that's nice. I like that. Didn't quite meet this order block. That's really nice. I like that. And that's what I was talking about as far as like accumulation or some type of drop lower. It's a beautiful reaction. Yeah, that one little up close candle, Oki. So that's your breaker. Low, high, lower low, then higher high. See if we get above this down close candle. Not quite. Yeah, that's how fractal price can be. You have to be careful with that, but yes, I mean, that's really how fractal price can be. And as again, we're still reacting off of this 15-minute breaker there. So yeah, from here I really would like to see some higher prices in here. At least this buy side liquidity pool there. Not sure what I got there. And ES is a sloppy mess. Do I believe in 90-minute cycles? No. If ICT dismisses something, then I don't believe in it. So we do have ES making a higher high here. So either NQ is the sixth sister and it's really going to have to follow through with this rally higher. Well, it's some type of bearish SMT. But I mean, dollar index is still trading lower. So do you add to the idea that price is just an algorithm? Yes. I don't believe in buying and selling pressure. And I've traded both spectrums of being on quote unquote retail, and I've traded ICT, so I'm not blind to the other side. I've traded it. And I'm just being very patient with this, man. I don't know what else to really say besides experience is telling me to just kind of sit still. Even though I did favor the upside and I did see some things that could have got me into the market, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me currently. And that's to me where I have a lot of patience and it can bite me in the ass sometimes, but on the other times it can really help me. And I'm fine and I'm comfortable as long as I know a draw on liquidity is far away, like I mentioned earlier, then I'm okay with letting price kind of prove itself to me rather than me trying to force an entry at the very bottom of something. So I mean, that's just where I currently stand. Because I mean, personally, if I was inside of a long in here, this would not be fun, to be honest with you. And I'm sure some of you are, but I never said to go long. I never got into position, so. Yeah, Tom. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I've said this like 4 times already. I don't know what else to say besides experience. That's the only thing that's kind of like knocking at me, saying just chill out, man. Just don't be trying to press so hard. Because look at the way ES traded away from its high in here. Maria, no, I didn't. What's the difference between SMT and sixth sister? Well, SMT is like a crack in correlation, meaning that there's going to be a bearish divergence or a bullish divergence, and then sixth sister is where, let's say, ES traded off higher, and you believe that NQ is going to get into sync with it, but it's lagging behind it. Then you can elect to trade that one. So you know how I mentioned earlier that 15-minute time frame when I was looking at NQ, I was like, there's just not like enough accumulation. There isn't enough sideways movement in order for price to move higher. Like it's not just going to drop and then just immediately just have this long candlestick that just goes straight up. Like think about that. Think about like visualizing what would have happened. Does that look probable to you? I don't know how else to explain it, but that doesn't look realistic to me. If I was to place a candlestick like this and it went up, that doesn't look right to me. So I was just looking at price and going, it's not really sitting right with me. If this down close candle was like a wick and it wicked into the breaker, then it would have been a little bit different scenario. Again, that's more or less experience. I can't teach you that. I mean, I'm trying to give it to you, but at this point, I would not be interested in longs currently. Well, that's where just experience pays. I mean, I've suffered many losses probably in the exact same condition, and it's probably something from my memory is telling me just to chill out. Crispy, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I hope it is, man. So Sibian here. So you have to remember what's the core content, like lesson 1 is there's basically 4 ways the market moves, which is consolidation, expansion, retracement, reversal. So you could go from expansion to consolidation to a reversal or expansion again. So I'm just kind of trying to utilize core content 1 to teach in that aspect, I guess. And don't beat yourself up if you did take a loss in the long. I've been there before, man. Again, I don't know what else to say besides experience. And experience will keep you out of a lot of trades. I mean, in the moment, it feels like you're never going to be able to not see that happening, but then, you know, a couple months later rolls around, a couple years, and then you're like, oh, that's easy to identify that I shouldn't be trading in it. So keep that in the back of your mind if you're losing a lot. That, you know, it's all adding up eventually. There's never one clicking moment. I answered this question yesterday on Twitter. Somebody asked, is there a clicking moment? And I used to believe that there is, but there never is. It's a continuous clicking moments and aha moments that all add up like a compounding effect. And your success, and especially with trading, is much like a water faucet where it trickles and it starts with a trickle and then slowly moves into a little bit steadier current, and then it'll move into an overflowing current. So again, with trading, it's not just boom, snap your fingers, one day you wake up and all this is easy. And that's just not true. That's not reality. It's a huge compounding effect. So watch if we trade right in the sell side here. But again, it's with dollar index being really bearish today, I'm hesitant to want to long this, or hesitant to short this. Do I use break of structure MSS? Yes, but I don't normally annotate it. It's more or less I'm looking at it. I'm looking at displacements and energetic displacements and where my drawn liquidity is over shift to market structures. I'm also looking at, are we no longer respecting, let's say in this instance, we're no longer respecting bullish PD arrays, and now we're respecting bearish. So that, to me, that's showing the state of delivery and price. It's showing what it's reacting off of and doing. I think market structure shifts are very subjective. That's the reason why I don't mark them up, because they're extremely subjective. I look at drawn liquidity and the narrative over a market structure shift. And I just look at the energetic displacements. So this is not an inversion. This is just a reclaimed fair value gap. You see how we closed underneath it? We're just coming back up in an inefficiency and trading away from it. So we're no longer respecting bullish, and now we're respecting bearish. So we had a bearish SMT with ES taking its high, and NASDAQ was nowhere near it. So that was another confluence for me to kind of not really push along at that particular time. With dollar index, the movement lower today, it makes me hesitant to want to short at that fair value gap, to be honest with you. That's, if it traded off lower on the sell side, I wouldn't really care. Can you explain what a PD array is? Yes, PD array is just a term for, it's an umbrella term for like a fair value gap, a breaker, a mitigation block, whatever, rejection block, etc. Do I use market maker buy models and sell models? Yes and no. I mean, I'm very well aware of them. I know exactly what they are and how to utilize them, but I don't teach in that aspect because, again, I think those are very subjective. And if you think that something's a market maker buy or sell model and you just look at that over everything else, then you're going to get yourself hurt. That's the last piece of the puzzle. If I added up everything up as a trade idea with intermarket relationships, the narrative, SMT, and then I saw a market maker buy or sell model and it was in confluence with my idea already, then I would utilize it. But most of the time, even with the 2022 model, you're participating within a market maker buy or sell model without even knowing it. So to me, keeping it simple is so key and important. It's everybody says it, but it really is. When do I finish my session? I finish it at least here, the AM session, silver bullet, and then I'll go to the gym, I'll eat some lunch, shower, and then I'll come back. If I didn't take anything in the AM, I'll come back at the PM and see if something's fruitful. The PM session, silver bullet. So I mean, I could trade both, but if I took profit in the AM, I'm not going to be trading the PM. There's no reason to give back what I won. I mean, on occasion, if I take a loss in AM, then I'll go into PM and see if I can get half of that loss back. And if not, then I just sit out the rest of the day. Thank you, Solhan. Yeah, that's the actual definition, premium discount arrays. Nico, yeah, I mean, if you take profit in London, and I mean, just picture it as if you're trading the AM silver bullet. What I just said is, I wouldn't be trading the rest of the day. I wouldn't look at the charts. You're probably going to be tempted. That's why I don't like keeping yourself to just one session is the highest probability thing you could do. I mean, even for me, like being 6 years into this and 4 with ICT, it's, even sticking to one session for me is really great. Like the probabilities of you getting every single session right and getting a trade right in every single session is that's not realistic to even think about. Hindsight, I would wait for how do you improve on your psychology? I can recommend a book to you. It's called The Mental Game of Trading. I mean, the other option is taking a lot of losses and doing a lot of journaling. Just going through trials and tribulations and being able to make it out of the other end. I mean, Nico, if you have the discipline not to just to tape read, but think about how many times you told yourself you're going to tape read a session and you ended up trading it. I mean, that's like putting an alcoholic in an alcohol store. I mean, you're very tempted to do something. Unless you completely have restrictions on your account from a third party where you can't do anything, then yes. But you can always go back and do a session and see what happened. I think you're a lot more tempted just to do something if you're sitting in front of the charts, no matter how experienced you are. Yes, Maria? Goes to the machine? All right. What was the biggest aha moment for you, Kimberly? I think the biggest aha moment was sticking with one model and one multiplier. So what I mean by multiplier is sticking. If I'm going to enter into the market, I'm only entering off of, let's say, a fair value gap, which that's my multiplier. I don't utilize anything else because I think if you're trying to utilize order blocks as entries, breakers, mitigate, you're utilizing too much. I know what all of them are. I can see how they're reacting, with price, but I only use one. And then just practicing one model, even if you're aware of a bunch of different models, select one and stick with it and practice it. And that way you get consistent, you can see your data, you can see what's happening, and it's a lot easier for you. What's your model? I have a bunch of different models, but I stuck with one for a long time and practiced that a lot. And particularly it was a 2022 model before it really even came out. I could see a day like today that could really chop somebody up. What is your strategy when you have drawdown, CJ? Thanks for lessons. Yeah, of course. You saw me do it yesterday. Anytime you take a loss, you immediately, this is a hard thing to do, you immediately cut your position in half, and you look to make back half of that position. If you don't do that, you have to keep either sticking with that reduced risk or reduce it even more. And that way, you're not only saving your capital in terms of account balance, but you're saving your mental capital. Because if you go on a losing streak, you're losing some type of at least confidence. You're losing. There starts to be doubt. There's a lot more emotions when you go into drawdown. It's easy to trade when you're doing extremely well because you don't have all these negative emotions. But when you're in drawdown, it's really hard to trade because you have a lot of doubt, you have a lot of fear. Even for me, if I start going into drawdown, those things start to creep back in my mind. But since I've gotten myself out of drawdown many times, I try to lean on that experience and tell myself, I've gotten out of this. It's okay. It's normal. Drawdown is very normal. I can't express that enough for all of you. Is even this idea of consistent profitability. I've said this many times. Is try to picture what that looks like. Many of you think that you're winning. A consistent profitability trader is somebody winning every single week, every single month, and you never lose. On like you may take a couple losses here and there, but you're consistent every single month. That's not even realistic. You're going to have a few months out of the year where you're in drawdown. You're not net positive, and those months where you're excelling is you're pulling yourself out of drawdown with good risk management and good psychology. So you need to visualize what that looks like. Many of you don't know what that looks like, and your vision is skewed. So when things start happening, like when you're in drawdown, you think that's not normal. It is normal. Skirt, if ICT is right about the algorithm and all that, why has he not been censored or something? Because, I mean, even with these concepts, you can fail extremely just as bad as anybody else. I mean, again, it's all up to the own user. To me, it just means that there's a bunch more liquidity in the market now. I mean, there's always going to be a new sucker every single day. Somebody else is coming into the market, brand new to the market, putting money in, just like the casino, and they're going to lose. So to be honest with you, even with all these concepts, I mean, even a small percent is ever going to be successful with these concepts or make it out. I mean, that's the whole cold hard truth. I mean, I wish success upon all of you, but I mean, the cold hard truth is there's probably only going to be a 5 to 1% of people that actually even succeed with ICT's concepts. And the reason is they can't control themselves. They simply don't have a good grip on themselves, even with the knowledge. It's the cold hard truth. So, I mean, I'm never scared of the algorithm shutting off, because humans are going to be humans. They're subjugated to their own emotions and their own defaults, and we're not robots. So, Cody, my brother, man, I'm very happy to see your name. It's refreshing. It's been wild in the chat without people that I know are amazing. I hope you're doing well, brother. Kevin, that's all right. Have a good rest of your day. Inner Circle J, I mean, it's going to be Model 13. If he releases that, it's Model 13. And I mean, I watched it back when he released it. It's the advanced version of Model 2022, but it's really nothing. You can't advance the 2022 model. It's as simplistic as you can make it. I mean, there's nothing else that you can hide away from it. It's a buy side or sell side raid, a shift in market structure with a fair value gap. I mean, it's that simple. How can I handle it? I don't know. It's a lot, but I know there's people like you, man, that really take in the information and run with it, and that's who I'm trying to do it for, you know. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Cody he's been a student, not of mine, but you know, he's taken a lot of the information I've said, and he's been doing amazing with it for the past year. So it's great to see when people listen to what you say and they take it and they run with it and they do well. I mean, it's amazing. Inner Circle J, I don't know if he's really. I haven't checked his YouTube. $638 viewers. Wow. I haven't even checked today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope you guys have been enjoying. Even though this is really boring, right? What have you learned from the session? What have you learned on what to do? Is even though the bias and narrative today for me was bullish, and there was starting to be a setup that was forming. If you looked at the counter things, like ES was taking its high, and I kind of talked about a little bit briefly how there wasn't enough accumulation really. Again, I can't teach that, but I'm trying to describe it for you. How to kind of sit out when, even though some things are really aligning, it just didn't feel right to me. So hopefully you guys were able to see that and learn, you know, even though things were aligning for me to look for higher prices, something wasn't sitting right with me. And I was able to just not FOMO into the position. And I think another thing, even without that experience part, is not picking a bottom. Allowing price to prove itself to you and not being fearful of missing a move, especially when you have a draw on liquidity that is, from that point in time, I mean, that's 100 points away. I only need 20, 30, 40, 50 handles to, you know, end the week off. So if price displaced again, I'm more than confident that I could have got into price, found an entry, and that was that. I learned to be patient and wait for a bit of accumulation after the big expansion. Is that right? Yeah, that is right. And I still believe if we could expand higher today, because look what is happening. We're accumulating, right? Just as I was basically saying earlier is I just don't think there's enough accumulation sideways after we had a rapid displacement lower. So to me, we're just accumulating. Goes back to core concept month 1. Move consolidation to expansion to reversal to retracement. So it goes in a huge cycle. If you had a large expansion, then you can expect consolidation and then expansion again. Or that would be the reversal, then expansion. How many contracts do I do on my live account? I do about 5 micros right now, and as I build up this drawdown, then I'm going to start increasing it. I mean, I'm allowed to do 10 standard minis, which is insane. Okay, let me see if the connection's all right. Yeah, so far, stream health is good. Maybe on your end. Which ICT plays? I mean, I was a charter member, so I've watched everything. I've sat right beside ICT for multiple years in the private group. So there's a lot of things that I didn't. There's not one playlist that's better than the other. I think the 2022 model is a straight cut forward right into his teachings, but it's not an end all be all either. Silver bullet, I want to make this clear. Silver bullet is just a time. Yes, I know ICT's taught there's a model that surrounds it, but to me it's a time, and then you plug in a model that works for you. To me, I'm just looking at the time as a high probability area. And the time to execute. Sherbert, no, I would not be live streaming for the PM session. I only do the AM. It's a lot just to do one stream a day. So we're starting to move higher in here. We're getting above that old civvy. We're starting to reach into this macro here at the end of the silver bullet. I'm sure I'll get a question over what is a macro, so I'll just describe it. It is a 20-minute window at the end of the silver bullet and before the silver bullet, where price can potentially move rapidly towards a draw in liquidity if it needs to. Yeah, I guess I'm blind to the idea that everybody thinks silver bullet is a model, and to me it's just a time. It's a time that's high probability because it's just a 1 hour window where price is able to move freely and probably has a better price action. You're not trading the first 30-minute opening range because that typically trips people up. There's, to me it's really all it is, and I plug in my own model and my things within that 1 hour. So as we start to move, especially inside of the silver bullet, or macro, I'm sorry, I'm going to see if we can really attack the buy side here. So as I mentioned before, to me, with price is just accumulating. So we have that larger inversion in here inside of the small one. Buy side liquidity there, buy side here. There's nothing that would have got me long into the position yet, but that's what I'm seeing. Even though I can see where price could potentially go, it's a huge keyword, I could potentially see. If my entry pattern's not there, I'm not just jumping into the market. It's disobeying my rules. I need to see some fair value gap form in order for me to get into the market. All we've really done is got above the inversion and barely tapped down into this. So I need to see something that would get me into the market. Let's look at the 15-minute now. So do you see how the difference between when this, right, could I picture a huge, large up-close candle? I couldn't see that. Now we've had accumulation. Now I could start seeing, yeah, we could start seeing some candles print higher. I don't know what that would be called, but just experience, I guess. That's really it. I mean, DXY is having a retracement, but then again, it could drop off lower. So even though it's moving higher currently, you can't look at a 5-minute time frame on dollar index and be like, all right, it's moving higher, so I can't long NQ. What have we done the whole day? We dropped off lower. So it may just be having a retracement, and the later portions, dollar index could drop off lower. And do you see how even though I was assuming price could travel to the buy side, there's nothing in here for me to get into price. It could react off this inversion. I just not my particular style right now. I'm gonna wait for a fair value gap to form. And if that means I get a worse entry, then so be it. Entering off an inversion alone to me is not enough. Having a inefficiency inside of the inversion is higher probability to me, at least. I know there's a bunch of models now around inversions, and I don't even think that ICT's taught the full description. He says he hasn't. He says in the book he's going to teach more about inversion fair value gaps. So all these people that make up models about inversions, I don't think they know what they're doing. What about the inversion on the, yeah, so like in here, but again, at that point in time, we're still basically residing inside of that SIBI. So in hindsight, yeah, I could have went long in there, but again, I'm not trying to pick a bottom overall in this market. I'm okay with letting it go, letting it prove itself to me, and then I could enter the market. I don't look for perfection. I don't look for the lowest best entries. I don't look for turtle soups. I'm a very boring trader. I wait for the displacements. I wait, even if price was to get all the way up to the last 25% of this drawn liquidity and nothing was able to get me in the market, and then something was able to get me into it, I'd be perfectly happy with that. Wouldn't care. I'm a very content, boring trader. That's what you want to be. Yeah, I have my opinions on that dude. I think that dude is, again, there's these people that come into these communities with ICT and they coin a concept and they make their whole personality and their Twitter profile about these concepts. And I mean, look at me. I don't claim to know that I'm the best at turtle soups. I'm the best at fair value gaps. I'm the best at my model. People that sit here and say, oh, the inversion fair value gap is a 90% win rate. I'm sorry, dude. I don't think you do. I think that dude's full of shit, to be honest with you. I see through people so clearly in this industry, and many of you are newer, so you can't see that. Why do you think nobody sits down and trades live? Where are these people at? Sit down and sit in front of a live audience in a live market and trade. If you can't do that, why are you making videos that are clickbait bullshit? It's just to get money out of you guys. It's just to strip money away from all of you, just so they can support their stupid little mentorships to pay their bills because they can't trade. I know I'm going to go on a tangent, but I mean, I can't describe it enough. I mean, yeah, Danny, I mean, I've seen so much bullshit throughout this industry, man. I mean, I'm one of the few people out here doing this live in front of all of you, putting my reputation, my everything on the line to show you that I can trade. If I couldn't do it, you could clearly see that, and you wouldn't be sitting here learning from me. That's the only way I would ever sell mentorship, and that's the only way I've been transparent is if I was going to sell a mentorship, which, again, I'm transparent, I'm going to do that. I have to be able to trade in front of you for a long period of time. Not just a week, not just a day. It has to be several months. And to see the transparency between all of it. And if you find that I can actually trade, then you can be willingly invest into a private group. If I just made a bunch of clickbait videos telling you here's a 90% win rate with a back-tested bullshit strategy, and you're willing to pay for that, I mean, I'm sorry, you're naive. And that may be your just infancy to trading in the community, but these people are not here to help you. They're here to take money away from you so they can pay their bills. You have to think with your head. I'm sure it does, but then again, these people post on where's your losses? Go through these people's pages. Go through their Twitter posts. How many times do they post a loss? It is so little. Some people never post a loss. I mean, you think these people are perfect? No. It's all a smoke and mirrors to get you to pay for their group. That's it. I'm sorry, I get super triggered by that, but it's something that needs to be said. I mean, all of you that are listening, at least I have a large audience that is going to listen to it. I'm sure some people are going to leave because of what I just said. Personally, I don't really care because you can get scammed by people. I've been scammed by plenty of people, and that's why it pisses me off. These people are fake. I mean, as we're approaching the end of the silver bullet in here, I probably would look more or less for the PM session. I don't see anything fruitful. I'm not gonna push price right now. I don't want to trade into lunch really. So yeah, I'm sure he does, Ryan. I mean, again, I'm not gonna go on it. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's it. That's it. That's it. I gotta chill my own self out. Thank you, Sarah. Will. Yep. No, I won't stream the PM. If I'm gonna trade it, I'm just gonna trade and chill by myself. Andreas, I appreciate that. Welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're new here. Glad you're enjoying the content. So it's a really good example here where price is trading off lower. I didn't have anything for me, even though my bias would be long. I don't have anything to get into the market, and that's me just obeying my rules. Because I could have easily just went long, because that's what I'm assuming. But there's nothing telling me to get into the market, so I have to sit still until something told me to do that. Sherelle, thank you very much. Ryan, no, I trade days where there's no news event drivers. I don't need to trade with news event drivers, but it makes things a little bit better. Yeah, I could. Yes, can you upload a video of the PM session? I could definitely do that. Lowazy, my brother. I know without a doubt you're here at that 10 o'clock hour, or my 11 o'clock. Hope you're doing well, bro. Hope your day's good. Would I stream PM session in the private group? If I ever do a private group, I could be an option. I mean, again, most people in private groups that have paid Discords, they don't even live stream. They just took a trade yesterday on PM session based on your info. Last 25% draw on liquidity and got my profits. Oh, amazing! I'd love to hear that. I got you, Easy. Sooner or later, you'll be tuning in on a beach. You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Amazing. Yeah, as we come to a closure here, I mean, I'll sit it out maybe the last 6 minutes here of the macro just to see what price is trying to do. Do I offer one-on-one mentorship? I'm not sure if I would or not. I don't know if they really are that useful, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, there's only so much I could answer with one call. Like, that's why a private group is like you're able to sit for weeks and months on end and learn. I love cooking. I mean, awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, even me, I mean, it's a great example of it. I had a bias, but nothing was probing me to get into the market. So, I mean, being right or wrong on analysis really doesn't mean much to me. It's what ends up in my account balance, whether it's positive or negative. That's what really matters. So that fair value gap there is being respected. Took out sell side in here. Would there be anything that I would have shorted off of that? No, not at all. Oops. I love cooking. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think a lot of people that come to me, I think technically they may grow, but mentally they're the common thing I see with my students, quote unquote students. I hate saying that, but their mental game grows, and that's through all these kind of rants and talks that I have because it's experience I'm trying to give you. Can you explain futures prop firms? I was going through your link and doesn't seem to understand. I'm not going to go super in depth with it, but I can say this is there's a monthly payment, and if you pass the account before, let's say you buy it today on the 15th of February, next month it will be charged on March 15th if you do not pass the account, if you do not hit the profit target. If you do before the March 15th, then you don't have to pay the monthly payment, and there's no activation fee this month for at least the prop firm I recommend. There's no activation fee. With some prop firms, and even this one, depends on the promotion for that month, there's an activation fee if you pass the account. It has to do with brokers and what they demand in terms of data. So the other thing would be trailing drawdown, end of day. That's going to trail along. It's not like a Forex prop firm. It's different. It's not static. What futures prop firms do I recommend? I recommend My Fund of Futures. It's the only prop firm I trade with. It's the only one I would recommend to any of you. Today is actually the last. Is it? I think today's the last day of the static account. So if you want to pick up a static account with My Fund of Futures, this is the last day for it. I believe it's like about $190. So it's one I'd recommend, to be honest with you, over everything else. Do I recommend the starter or expert? I would recommend, if the static is not available, I'd recommend the starter. I mean, expert, it's, to me, there's no reason to be trying to trade 10 standard minis. The leverage you don't need. I mean, if you're just slowly building up the account, the consistency rule really wouldn't affect you either. I mean, I have an expert plan or account that I pass, but I don't even utilize the full thing. Roosta, amazing. So a static account is, you don't have a trailing drawdown. It just sets in place. Could see if it's still available. Let me check. I'm not a salesman, if you guys know. I'm not trying to. I recommend My Fund of Futures. I love them. They're fantastic. I'm not trying to be a salesman, but I get a lot of questions over this, so I'm going to pull it up on screen just so you guys are aware. There's nothing happening in the chart. I'm not going to do anything else for the rest of the session if you're wondering. So this is My Fund of Futures. I love this prop firm in terms of not just because I utilize them and because they sponsor me. It's because over every other futures prop firm, they just excel. Their prices are better. Their trailing drawdowns better. Their payouts are better. Everything is better. Their support system's one of the best. Anytime you need somebody, they're always there to help. But expert, you pay a little bit more money, and the profit target is a little bit higher. And there's pros and cons to it. You can look at it, but as far as what I was getting at with the static, you have a 2.1K profit target. The max position is 2 contracts, which is fine. You don't need more than that. You have no daily loss limit. Your max drawdown is 1.5K and it's static. So if you move up to, let's say this is a 30K account. If I move to 31,000, my drawdown is not moving up to the original starting balance. It's going to stay where it's at. On these, it moves along with your profit. So let's say on a 100K account, I have a 3K drawdown. So 97,000 is, if I get the account, that's the max drawdown. If I make 1,000, if I'm at 101,000, my drawdown now moves from 97 to 98. And it locks in place. If I get up to 103,000, it will lock in place at 100,000. So I can no longer go back underneath 100,000. It's locked in place at 100. So anything above 3K, that's when you can start really pushing. So you have to build up these drawdowns in order to really start moving, because that drawdown is moving with you. But static, it stays in place. And these accounts, I really think you can build a lot of long-term mindset with these. At least that's my view on it. So hopefully that clears some things up. But they have some really good Q&As if you want to go over, with it and get some questions asked. But I highly recommend them. With my code, you'll save an extra 5% if you would like. So it's in the chat with my bot. Yeah, Cody. I don't know. You said earlier in our Discord, Cody, you said you didn't like the static. I would love to hear your opinion on it. But I personally think static's amazing. I mean, there's only like one other prop firm out there, and I believe that's Elite Trader Funded or whatever they're called, that has a static account, and they don't even have really that big of a drawdown. Because you have to think about it with a static account. If you pass it, you're basically paying $190 for a $1,500 account. Because if you're looking at the drawdown, it's $1,500. I'm paying $190 for a $1,500 account that I could, I'm not going to, I could use 2 standard minis. Because if you place $1,500 into like Tradeovate, like a real broker, AMP, Dorman, Iron Beam, you cannot place 2 standard minis on a $1,500 account. You don't have the margin to do so. So that's the pros of having a prop firm, is you're utilizing a prop firm, is you're able to utilize their leverage. So, and to me, I would just be using mini or micros until I built up that drawdown on a static, and then I could start moving into the minis and really excelling. Because I could have, $3,000-$4,000 drawdown, and that's when I start utilizing minis. And even with a $3,000-$4,000 account, I could never use a mini on NQ in a real account. So there's pros. There's some real pros to it, man. Yeah, Apex. I know. I have my opinions on them. I don't find them very reliable. Like if I'm gonna go with a prop firm and I'm gonna build that account up, I want to make sure that they're gonna stay in place. They're not just gonna out of the wind, shut down. I mean, any prop firm can do that, but at least with my funded futures and at least with funded futures, prop firms, I think they're going to be around for a long time compared to Forex. I think you can see the turmoil in Forex, and if you were with me for a while now, I've said to stay away from them. I've said to move away from them because I think it's a Wild West town in there, man. It is crazy. You can open minis on E. Are you sure about that, Danny? Because I've had a couple brokers tell me no. At least for ES. I know NQ. NQs requires a lot more. Some brokers require like 18K. Yeah, it depends on the broker. It depends who you're talking about, I guess. Yeah, I've never used AMP, so I don't know. Inner Circle J, all right, brother. Have a good day. Yeah, I would say my funded futures and top steps are the best. I mean, that's my personal opinion. Yeah, top steps good. I just think their payout process is a little much. And I think you're going to pay more with Top Step. No, so CFDs are that's actual indices. You're trading NAS 100, you're trading US 500, you're trading US 30. For us in the US, we can't trade those through like a Forex prop firm or through a Forex broker or CFD broker. It's illegal to do so unless you're doing like an offshore unregulated one, which obviously I don't want to be using that. And prop firms were like the get around to do that. So I think that's why we're seeing a lot of turmoil in there, because it was like a loophole. I use Rhythmic. Top step is 10 days. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I want my money. Like, if I'm going to be using something, I better get my money quick. I'm not going to take 10 days to get my money. Earn my first pay. I mean, again, I didn't utilize prop firms prop firms were not a thing when for the first 3 years of my career. So I've had plenty of withdrawals out of personal accounts. I mean, say like the fourth year is when I got a payout from my Forex funds, and then they got shut down. So it's like, it's hilarious. Yeah, they offer Rhythmic, Tradeovate. I mean, Ninja Trader is the same as Tradeovate now. What platform to use? I mean, I use Quantower. That's me personally. That's only because I'm able to trade copy. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be it for the session. We moved past the silver bullet, moved past the macro at the end of the silver bullet. I'm not going to be doing anything else the rest of the day. Double trader. I'm not going to say anything, double trader. I mean, I appreciate it. But a lot of your thumbnails and a lot of your content looks the same as mine. Nobody else has ever called videos daily logs. And I've seen yours. And they look exactly like mine. I'm not trying to spread hate, but it's a very weird coincidence, isn't it? That's going to be it for the session. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope you all have a good rest of your day. And I'll post a video tonight. So until then, good luck and good trading, everybody.